In this chapter, we'll talk about how to trade or invest in cryptocurrencies. Before we begin, as usual, trading forex, cryptocurrencies, any leveraged instrument carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. But if you're intending to do this, please watch this video and read through the disclaimer so you thoroughly understand the risks. There are three main ways to trade crypto or invest in cryptocurrencies. And there's a fourth one here that is relatively new that I added that's only beginning to get interest, particularly in different parts of the world. The most traditional way is to buy the underlying coin. The more nouveau way that a lot of people are doing is to basically buy and sell the contract for difference. The third way, if you're looking to invest, is to invest in a crypto ETF. And the new way is Bitcoin options. So starting with buying the assets, the benefit of buying the asset is that you own the underlying asset. That is the greatest flexibility and allows you to transfer the asset into the wallet. The con is that, first of all, you can't sell short. Secondly, there are delays. It is subject to hack. For some currencies like Ethereum, in many ways it may be difficult. And if you lose your private key, you basically, may lose out on, all the money that you've basically invested in. So there's both, positives and negatives to owning the underlying assets. But, this is the purest way to own Bitcoin, Ethereum, and of course, a lot of the newer coins, you can't necessarily buy it the same way that you would buy Bitcoin. But if we're just looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum, this is the most traditional way to own and use the Bitcoin. And to also, if you were someone that you were taking advantage of the anonymous nature of the assets, then owning it through a wallet or transferring to wallet would be the best way to go. So how does this work on a practical basis? Well, no one explains it better than the screenshots that I found on Business Insider. And they basically use one of the more popular websites that just starts on top, Coinbase.com. It's an app they can download on your iPhone. It's also something that you can use on your desktop as well. When you first open the app, after you download it, you'll see what the price of Bitcoin is. Obviously, it was done a long time ago when Bitcoin was a lot cheaper. They only offer a handful of assets. And when you sign up, you've got to provide some, your original login information. They also require, if you're in the U.S., certain parts of the world, some personal information to identify you with, including your address and some additional information like that, and your phone number in order to verify your account and in order to link your phone. And then they want some financial information. So there's a lot of information that you need to provide to them so that they can also transfer funds in and out of your accounts. So once you've set up your account, you add either a bank account or a credit debit card. The bank account works for buying and selling or closing, and credit debit only can be used for buying. You can't use it for selling. So, when it's all done, you can start to buy Bitcoins, and you can buy them in, increments. Bitcoin price, has gone as high as $5,000. $5 gets you obviously a fraction of a Bitcoin. And when you buy the Bitcoin, you can determine whether you want to do it from your bank account or your credit card, and you tell them how many Bitcoins you want to, how much money you want to spend, and they help you translate this into the amount of Bitcoins. And then you confirm your transaction. Now, this challenge, this person saying here, is that the prices move fast, so he was getting an error, and that sometimes is a problem that you could face with buying the underlying and going through this multi-step process. But eventually, he buys the Bitcoin. And this is an example transaction, so he decides to sell it immediately. So after you bought the whole Bitcoin, your purchase is successful, and in this case, it goes to his Bitcoin wallet instantly. So then he decides to sell the Bitcoin. And when he decides to sell the Bitcoin, I talked about how you can use a credit or debit card to buy a Bitcoin, but to sell, it has to be paired with your bank account. And so you have to add your bank account, so a multi-step process, and you pick your bank. If it's not on the list, you can use the desktop to set up your payment method. And then you sell your Bitcoin. And the transaction takes a few days to process sometimes before the money is transferred. And it's just a standard, kind of transfer into your account. One of the challenges is that Bitcoin prices vary, so you've got to estimate the amount of Bitcoins, but that's basically how the transaction works. So you buy and sell, through a platform such as Coinbase. Another way to trade Bitcoin or Ethereum or a couple of other cryptocurrencies is through a CFD, a contract for difference. Now, with the CFD, there's no need for keys. You can trade the Bitcoin on leverage. Now, of course, leverage comes with risks. You can short without owning the asset. They're relatively easy to use. You'll see it when I go through the transaction. The con is that you counterparty risk. You always have counterparty risk, even if when you're trading Forex spot. The spreads are greater, and leverage is also a con. So I've actually logged into my Bitcoin, my Pepperstone account, and there's a lot of brokers that offer this. I'm just using Pepperstone for demonstration purposes, and you can add your cryptocurrency. Let's say Bitcoin. They offer, usually only offer 5 or 6 of them. So let's say we want to show Bitcoin, close. And all you do is, if you want to buy, you click on it, you double click on it, and you want to buy one unit. One unit is $5,590 right now. You can see the spread's about $15, which actually isn't too much, I think, especially for the width of the amount of how much the currency is trading. And then you can set your stop loss and your take profit, and we buy. Now you'll notice that we use about $280 worth of margin. So Pepperstone offers 20-to-1 leverage on trading Bitcoin. Other brokers may offer something different, but that's what Pepperstone offers. And if you want to sell Bitcoin, if you want to short it, you can just double click and you can sell that market as well. And in this case, they allow you to have both a buy and sell position. And if you want to close it, it's a simple one click. You click on the X that's on this side, and you just hit OK, and you've closed your Bitcoin transaction. And if I want to close my short transaction, same thing. I just hit OK, and I've closed it. And if you want to trade different amounts, you can always change the volume here, but it's fast, seamless, and you're basically speculating in the price direction, and you accrue the value of your account based upon you being right, and then you can withdraw it just as you do your normal spot Forex account. So that's why it's growing in popularity, because it's very easy to use, and of course some people are very much attracted by the leverage factor. You can also buy the ETF. People like this because it's exchange traded. There are better regulations and guidelines. There's no need to hold any keys. You can use your current stock brokerage account. There's a much wider spread than what you just saw with the CFD account. It can only be traded during exchange hours, so that means that there could be gaps, and that's a serious risk if you are trading something that trades 24 hours a day, but you can only get out at specific times of the day. And lastly, Bitcoin options. LedgerX LLC is the first legalized Bitcoin option and clearinghouse for the U.S. It's coming sometime between September and October, and that would be available to the U.S. Currently available to non-U.S. customers. You can trade Bitcoin options on anyoption.com. But Bitcoin options are very expensive to trade because, obviously Bitcoin has a lot of volatility, and the implied volatility component of the option value calculation makes them oftentimes much more expensive to trade than, for example, a CFD. So, if you trade Bitcoin, I think the best way is a CFD if you're non-US resident. If you're a US resident, you may have to consider the Bitcoin options or the ETF or the underlying asset. So hopefully that gave you a clear walkthrough on how you can invest or trade in these cryptocurrencies, and I think the options will only grow as we see more and more of these products gain wider adoption, and more brokers start to offer for trading. Thank you so much. This is Kathy Lean.